Thanks again for joining me. According to our president, Tuesday was Liberation Day, when, in fact, the only people liberated are the leaders of corporate behemoths set free from regulations to protect communities from dangerous chemicals, environmental protections, any requirements to address climate change, any requirements to prevent employers from reverting to racist and sexist hiring practices. Controls meant to keep free and fair elections are broken. That's clear from Elon Musk paying for votes and infusing his massive corporate money into elections. There is no longer a mandate to protect the free press that is now under attack because commentary and criticism of the government policies are viewed as fake news. I've been politically active since the mid-1960s, and we have never seen such an assault on American values and freedom of the press. Policies pushed under Nixon and Reagan pale in comparison to the nonsense we're dealing with today through the White House. This week, we witnessed hundreds of federal workers instantly lose their jobs and livelihoods. This is a stressful time for them and their families, and we are going to feel these job losses and their ripple effects throughout every community in this county. Our thoughts are with them during this difficult time, and we're doing everything we can to support them. At the beginning of the Trump administration, Montgomery County had 77,550 federal employees residing here and 48,433 federal jobs based in the county. HHS, which includes NIH and FDA, is not only the county's biggest employer, but also the state of Maryland's largest employer. HHS last week projected it would lay off about 10,000 people, in addition to the 10,000 who took buyouts or retirement offers. Last week, HHS Secretary Kennedy announced that NIH alone will see 1,200 layoffs. Nationally, in January, 4,000 federal workers were laid off, and the number jumped to 22,000 in February. Labor Department statistics for the year so far end there, but the total is sure to grow. And these numbers are just the federal employees. These figures don't include federal contractors and NGOs that lost funding and contracts and work. Nor do these numbers account for all the businesses that serve the federal government, whether those companies are nearby restaurants or vendors. You just can't fire these many people without impacting the mission of their work, which is to keep us healthy and safe. Even more so than the employees under attack, it is really the work they do that is the true target of these attacks. It's as if the prime goal is to erase the 20th century and the first 25 years of this century, as if the pandemic was just a mirage and the lives lost are no concern. Viruses are still a real threat, and yet we continue to try to ignore them. Gore Vidal once called the United States of amnesia. Never in my life have I seen such change, of course, over the importance of science and research, and I have to say Vidal got it right. Last week we launched Mobilize Montgomery. By visiting and registering mobilizemontgomery.com, impacted workers and businesses can learn about the latest opportunities to connect with area employers and learn about webinars that could help them during these trying times. So far, we've had nearly 300 job seekers register, and Mobilize Montgomery County is just in its first week. On Monday, we hosted our Open for Business procurement fair that was filled to capacity with businesses looking for new procurement opportunities. Also visited with our restaurant and hospitality businesses at MoCo Eats Food and Beverage Showcase, hosted by Visit Montgomery. At both events, attendees were concerned about the impacts of these federal decisions, whether those concerns were layoffs or the looming tariffs. Montgomery College hosted a job fair for workers in the health and sciences sectors with bio and life science businesses. Over 120 people registered to attend, and another 200 were on the waiting list. On my media briefing this week, I welcomed the president of Montgomery College, Dr. Jermaine Williams. Montgomery College is one of our county's best assets and resources for students and workers of any age. He talked about what they're doing, how they help, looking for these new opportunities.
We are providing a multitude of resources that are free of charge. And when I think about that, to that list is resume and job search assistance, county executive, also career coaching. And as you know, we partner deeply with WorkSource Montgomery, deeply to the point where they actually have a site at the East County Education Center. So when we think about helping individuals transition, whether they're upskilling, reskilling, or new skilling, which may often be phrased as career changers, Montgomery College is really working hard in collaboration with the entire county and beyond to really help our displaced federal workers.
Next, I want to talk about a bill in front of the County Council. Bill 225 is scheduled for a vote on Tuesday, and I'm very concerned about it. Passage of this bill would automatically abate property taxes for certain developers who convert or demolish a half-empty commercial building to make room for residential units. The developer would not pay any property taxes for 20 years. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that would not be used for taxpayer needs. There are four main problems with this legislation. First, the legislation is not necessary. There is absolutely no evidence that anyone or everyone needs 100% exemption from property taxes for 20 years. I want to remind everybody, every bit of property taxes that is not paid by the development community for their responsibility winds up on your table. So if you're a taxpayer, you ought to be very concerned about the shift of the responsibility for paying for infrastructure. An example of why this is not needed is the Guardian Apartments in Silver Spring. They were converted from a small office building without a dime of subsidy. This project added 5 additional stories to the former office building, 75,000 square feet, a renovation that is allowed now without any changes to the zoning law. The Guardian is now offering 178 new residential units without the county having to forego 1 dime of property tax from the owner. This is not the only conversion that has occurred in Montgomery County, and to date, none of them have required county support. Second, the legislation is going to cost the county potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in lost tax revenue over the next 20 years. The county should not be doing by right pilots to give automatic exemptions from 100% of property taxes, regardless of the circumstances of the financing of that building. We have authority already to do pilots, and we've done them to get more affordable housing. But every project needs its own analysis of financing and the developer's investment in the project. The analysis helps us address a simple question: what gap is the county trying to fill? This bill doesn't at all address what gap the county's trying to fill. It just assumes we'll give everybody free money. Any subsidy, and we do give subsidies, should be based on filling those gaps. Third, this legislation is unfairly picking winners and losers among developers who get subsidies and those who do not. Most developers currently build housing are paying property taxes. If you're not going to tax one group of developers for producing market rate housing, why tax any of them? And I'm sure this is something they're going to ask, and this is something we're already hearing from the development community, claiming that now the county should subsidize more market rate housing. This is not helpful. This is also a slippery slope, and it's part of the county's ongoing race to the bottom. For years now, councils have been reducing taxes on developers. The only money we get from developers, because they don't pay income taxes, are these property taxes. We have the lowest rates by far on commercial property in the region. We also have the lowest rates on personal property taxes. Yet we lag in job growth, and developers go to Northern Virginia and pay much more than they pay here. How much more? In Tyson's Corner, for example, they would pay over $1.54 on property taxes for an office building built there, and in Montgomery County right now they pay $1.04. So trying to be the cheapest state has proven to be a completely failed policy, and yet the council continues the magical thinking that they will fix the problem of lack of jobs in the county by continuing to cut development taxes. Impact taxes for developers have already been reduced over and over again. We've already won the race to the bottom by having the lowest commercial taxes in the region, but that has not produced the jobs we need to drive housing growth. We do not want to create a new corporate welfare system that a developer is either going to expect or only certain developers are going to get these sweetheart deals. Finally, we need more public input and discussion. While there were public hearings on More Housing Now package, there were multiple and different pieces of legislation included in the bill. There continues to be confusion and questions around this bill and the ZTAs. I'm hoping the council will delay the vote and use the time to explore issues related to this bill. We usually expedite legislation because we're dealing with something that needs immediate attention. There is absolutely no urgency for the hurried consideration of this legislation, other than our continued need for affordable housing, which this bill doesn't even begin to address. I want to be clear that I have no objection to the conversion of commercial and residential properties, and no problem with helping facilitate that within our zoning and height regulations. Exactly what the bill says it's going to do, but could be done right now. I have absolutely no problem with this type of conversion not having to get a new approval. There is no issue of building within the zoning envelope. In principle, this is a reasonable option for expanding housing. The question is, do we need to subsidize this? Do we need to subsidize every project? The actual best outcome, frankly, for commercial buildings would be to be re-tenanted with businesses. After all, we talk about the loss of businesses and the loss of business space in this community. Having these available to business expansion in the future would be a good thing. We need to grow our tax base. It's not clear that we want to be prioritizing reducing the number of places businesses could locate. That may not be in the county's best long-term economic interest, which is why these need to be examined on a case-by-case basis. I urge the council to make next week's calendar item a work session and not yet vote on the expedited bill. There are some important issues that still need to be resolved before a final vote. And you, the voters in this county, are the ultimate judge. If you don't think we should be giving away more money to developers, you should let your council members know that. I want to thank the County Council for passing Bill 625, Consumer Protection for Renters, sponsored by Councilmember Kristen Mink, co-sponsored by Council President Kate Stewart, Vice President Will Juando, and Councilmember Don Lutke. This bill will remove an exemption for landlord-tenant issues under the Consumer Protection Law. That exemption prevented the Consumer Protection to look at these issues, just to be clear. And it opens up new tools for the county to induce compliance when landlords repeatedly fail to cure housing code violations. I look forward to a bill signing ceremony with council members and tenants. Unfortunately, a minority of landlords rely on delaying the fixing of housing code violations or engaging in deceptive trade practices as part of their business model. They rely on a 6-month-plus delay in our overburdened district court, and unfortunately, the practice of judges to reduce or eliminate fines when the landlord appears and says, "I fixed the problem yesterday." A tenant could have to deal with these kind of problems, the loss of proper heating, the malfunctioning utilities, mold, dysfunctional plumbing. All those things can go on, can last months and not get fixed. And there's no penalty to the landlord if they fix it before they go before a judge and the judge dismisses the fines. That's not what our tenants deserve. They deserve the quality that they're paying for. The results are tenants waiting long periods of time for housing code violations to be fixed. And it's only a minority of landlords who are refusing to fix their violations in a timely manner. Forcing tenants to live in substantial conditions like rodent-infested buildings or with faulty electrical issues or broken plumbing until the last possible moment before punishment or fines is an option, and it's sickening as a way to do business. We will not allow that kind of behavior any longer. The Office of Consumer Protection, the Office of the County Attorney, will now be able to sue landlords in circuit court who have demonstrated a history of property neglect, noncompliance with citations, and deceptive trade practices to seek injunctive relief and damages. The truth is, most landlords don't engage in these practices, but those who will quickly learn that they either must change their business model or face more serious consequences provided in this bill. This bill is a major step forward, and I hope those bad actors who have gotten away with mistreating their customers for too long will be able to read the tea leaves and change their behavior moving forward. Despite the national climate, the county is still excited once again this year to mark Earth Month. Last year, our Department of Environmental Protection urged you to act now. This year, we got started early by encouraging residents to take the pledge weeks ago and be climate smart. Being climate smart means making changes at home to be more sustainable. Small changes like preparing meals to reduce food waste or take public transportation when it's convenient add up to make a big difference. Visit montgomerycountymd.gov/climate for more information. If the county continues to expand recycling operations and we minimize the amount of trash created, we will also continue to make progress toward our zero waste future. With everything working against us in terms of climate change and the federal resistance to clean energy and a clean environment, We have to continue to lead by example and show real progress on how beneficial climate-smart policies can be for our community and others that follow suit. Prom season will be here soon, and Montgomery County High School students are invited to find their perfect prom outfit completely free of charge. Prom Couture Closet Giveaway returns for its 4th year, helping students attend prom in style without financial burdens. Join us on Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Marilyn J. Praisner Community Recreation Center in Burtonsville to browse a collection of free prom dresses, suits, shoes, and accessories. The event is open to all Montgomery County High School students with a valid student ID, and items will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. I want to thank everyone who provided donations to this effort. Your generosity has helped hundreds of students find the right thing to wear so they can celebrate their milestone moments with confidence. And I want to wish all students celebrating prom this year to have a safe and festive celebration. April is Arab American Heritage Month, and we continue to affirm our commitment to being a welcoming multicultural community. We are in a time when this is not just a nice thing to do, but it's a necessity. We need to lead by example and show those who want to harm someone because of their religion or where they are from won't be welcome or tolerated in Montgomery County. Our county has a legacy of actions and policies that reinforce our belief that we must be inclusive of everybody that calls our county home. This is important when it comes to fair housing, across-the-board equity, and so many other day-to-day activities where people need to feel like they're not being ignored, let alone disrespected. This marks the 25th year our county has honored Arab American residents with a proclamation that will be given Tuesday, April 8th. On Monday, April 7th, the community will come together for the Arab American Heritage Month celebration at Borough Park in Gaithersburg. The public is invited to the free event, which starts at 5 p.m. You can also register ahead of time by contacting the Office of Community Partnerships Middle Eastern American Advisory Group. So that's a wrap for today. I hope you're all hanging in there, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back again next week. Take care.